Namaskar and welcome to our day 9 of the Dhanurmasa Satsanga. Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathayamudhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityamachyutapadam Bhujayugma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadgurur Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanam Sharanam Prapadye आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्याम् यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारी परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम् पूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् वेदवेद्ये परे पुंसि जाते दशरथात्मजे वेदप्राचेत सादासीत् साक्षात् रामायणात्मना. So in yesterday's satsang, we had stopped at the point where the bow is brought, the Shiva Dhanush is brought and kept, and Vishwamitra Rishi is instructing Rama that Vatsa Rama Dhanu Pashya. O Rama, O child Rama, look at the Dhanu, like that. Now, what happens next? So, getting instructions from his guru, Rama walks towards the box where the Dhanush is kept. As he is walking, there is a big assembly. There are so many princes, so many kings, so many great warriors, everybody assembled there. Janaka is watching, Vishwamitra is watching, everybody is watching to see what is going to happen. And there is pin drop silence as Rama walks towards the Dhanusha. And he looks at the bow, he gauges what he needs to do, and he asks permission from Vishwamitra Rishi. When the Rishi says, yes, go ahead, he proceeds. And he just puts his hand into the box, his left hand, he grabs that bow by its center portion and playfully, effortlessly, he lifts that bow out of the box. Now he holds it in such a way that his toe of the leg is pressing on the lower end of the bow, and he takes the rope and he has to string that bow now. So he has to tie the string, that rope, to the top end of the bow. As he tries to bend the bow to tie it there, to tie the string there, there is a loud explosion and that bow breaks. A big amount of light strikes everybody from there. There's such a loud noise. It's a loud, explosive noise, which is ear splitting for everybody. And it is said that everybody in that sabha, they faint, except for 4 people. Vishwamitra is alert, Janaka, Rama, and Lakshmana. Except for these 4 people, all else sitting in that assembly, they faint with that loud noise and that light which is shining from there. Now, here it is important for us to understand. The Acharyas explain that this 12-year-old boy, who would have thought that a 12-year-old boy would be able to break this bow? You remember we said that 5,000 people had to drag that box in which the bow was kept. It was so heavy. And yet, as if it is Leela, as if it is just a play for him, Rama grabs that bow, tries to string it, and when he tries to do that, the bow breaks. Now, it is important to remember that the bow is broken in the center part, and it breaks at the point where Rama is actually gripping it with his left hand. And it did not break because it is old or because it has become dry, the wood has dried up, not like that. It broke because of the firmness of his grip. Now, another thing here, the Acharyas give us an insight. Now, this bow was Shiva's bow. So, that bow was built, like if you say that Lord Shiva is like maybe 8 feet or so in height, then it was built for that height. When Vishwakarma first prepared this bow, he had made it to suit the height of Shiva. Rama was a 12-year boy at this time when he broke the bow. So he must have been maybe around maximum, say, 4 feet or 4.5 feet of height. how did he manage to pull that bow downwards towards him? So, very beautifully, the acharyas say that the minute Rama held the bow of Shiva in his hand, Shiva's bow bent down by itself to offer namaskara to Lord Rama. And because that bow bent down, therefore, he was able to catch hold of the end of it and start stringing it. So, we know that Shiva is considered as the supreme, the Parama Vaishnava. So, when Lord Rama himself is going to hold that bow of Shiva, then that bow, out of respect, started bending downwards by itself. And that is why, as a 12-year-old, shorter statured person, Rama could get hold of that top part of the bow. That is why he was able to hold it. Now, this bow broke, and everybody was surprised. Everybody was shocked to see this. But Janaka is thrilled because, as we said, he already had a kind of inkling that why Vishwamitra has brought this Rama here. Now, Janaka is thrilled. This so called boy has succeeded, and great Veera Parakrami, so many of them have failed to do this, but this boy has succeeded. So then Janaka says that I have kept this condition that whoever breaks the bow, I will offer my daughter in marriage to that person. And therefore, it is now time for me to wed my daughter Sita to Rama. So he takes permission from Vishwamitra Rishi and he says that I will send my ministers to Raja Dasharatha with this glorious news and I will invite him here and we can go ahead with discussions and preparations for the marriage of Rama with Sita. Here, the Acharyas explain that why is Janaka taking permission from Vishwamitra Rishi? And why is he not directly? Who broke the bow? It was Rama. Then why doesn't Janaka directly talk to Rama? Because the Acharyas say that all along so far, Rama has been doing Agnya Palan. He has been obeying the instructions, the orders of his gurus and elders. But now, if suppose Janaka had directly asked Rama that, oh Rama, I am giving my daughter in marriage to you and I want you to get married to her. At that point of time, Rama would have stopped his Agnya Palan. Rama would have stopped obeying instructions. Why? Because the very purpose of Rama's life, the very purpose of this avatara is, in one way, you can say, to show that he is always going to do Pitrvakya Paripalanam. He is going to obey the orders and wishes of his elders only. He has nothing to do as his own wish. So would Rama have agreed if Janaka had come directly to him and said, okay, I'm going to give my daughter to you in marriage? Rama would not have agreed. He agreed to look at the bow. He agreed to try to hold the bow because he understood what Vishwamitra wanted him to do. But now, when it comes to marriage, he is not going to agree just like that. He will definitely say, ask my parents, ask my father. And that is why Vishwamitra Rishi is consulted by Janaka, and after getting his permission, Janaka sends ministers to Dasharatha with this news that how Rama has broken the bow and all this. And when Dasharatha gets the news, now what does he do? He is the father of Rama. He has all the rights. I mean, he is the person who has to take a decision now, isn't it? But yet, when Dasharatha gets the news, the Ramayana describes how he immediately turns to Vasishtacharya, his Acharya, and he starts discussing about whether we should accept this proposal or not. So here we have a lot of things to learn. Now the Kamba Ramayana, this whatever we saw so far, is how it is described, how these events are described in Valmiki Ramayana. Now in Kamba Ramayana, there is a little more romantic version of this meeting of Rama and Sita. So in Valmiki's Ramayana, there is no interaction previously between Rama and Sita, and only after Rama has broken the bow, in that place, Sita is able to see him, right? And she has nothing else. She's just watching to see what is going to happen. But in Kamba Ramayana, there is a very sweet interlude which is described by Kamba. He says that when Rama entered Mithila for the first time to see that bow, right? As he is entering, he is walking behind Vishwamitra Rishi, he is walking behind all the sages who have come, and he is walking into Mithila. This Sita is roaming around on the balcony of her palace. And as Rama comes to that point, that place, they both look at each other, they set eyes on each other, they are rendered speechless and stuck by love. So here Kambar describes and he says, after all, isn't it natural? Because Rama is none other than Narayana and Sita is none other than Lakshmi. Now, Narayana has taken Avatara and come as Rama. And he's been in Ayodhya. So for 12 years, Lakshmi has been separated from Narayana. And this moment, when they set eyes on each other, it is as if the sparks are flying and they are totally speechless with their love for each other. Again, further, when it comes to the event of breaking the bow, Kambar says that once Rama breaks the bow, Sita has been instructed by her father previously itself that whoever breaks the bow, you have to garland them and they will be your husband. So the minute Rama breaks the bow, Sita walks towards him with the mala in her hand. And yet Rama turns away at that point of time. And respectfully, he tells Janaka, my guru only told me about looking at the bow, about stringing the bow. All this marriage and all that, I am not prepared for that. That is not part of my plan. For marriage and other things, I am not the person to talk. You have to ask my father. And Kambar describes that hearing this reply from Rama, Sita is even more thrilled. First, she was very thrilled and she was very happy that such a Veera, such a great warrior, such a valiant person has broken the bow. So she was very happy about that. But now, hearing Rama's statement that my father has to agree, my father has to decide, she is even more happy because she says this great prince has not just Veeram, but he also has Vivekam. He also has this ability to discriminate. He also has the ability to hold on for the sake. See, we are talking about this Kamba Ramayana version, right? Where it is said that Rama also fell in love with Sita and she also fell in love with him. So, although he had the yearning to marry Sita, yet he put this thing down and he said that my father has to decide, my father has to agree, and only then the marriage can happen. So, although he had the yearning, he was able to have so much of self control that he said, my desire does not matter, my father has to decide. So not only does this prince have Veeram, he also has Vivekam. And that is why Sita is doubly thrilled. Like this, the Acharyas explain. So today from this event that we have talked about, different things we can learn. But the most important part is, what is it to be obedient? First thing, when we are obeying somebody's orders, we must obey whatever they are telling us in terms of the literal meaning. But then also it is important many times to understand the implied meaning of that. Now we know how Vishwamitra Rishi told Rama that he said, Dhanu Pashya. He said, see the bow. Did Vishwamitra Rishi mean that Rama should only look at the bow and come back and sit quietly? No. Rama understood that the Rishi wants me, see the bow means I have to try to lift the bow. So that implied meaning he understood. So when we want to do Agnya Palan of somebody, we must understand and follow not only what they are literally telling us in words, but we must also understand the implied meaning. The bhavartha we have to understand. And we have to follow that instructions to the best of our ability, using our intelligence for that purpose. That is one thing. Second thing, from the way how Rama told that I am not going to decide about the marriage, all that has to be discussed with my parents. So, although you may have wishes for something, it is important that we must have the Viveka to see what is my role here and who is the decision maker, that giving in to the decisions of elders, not wanting to have your way, but rather being happy to let your elders take decisions for you. That is also another part of being obedient. So here from this event itself, we know how when Vishwamitra came and asked for Rama, Dasharatha sent him. And Dasharatha told Rama that you have to follow whatever Vishwamitra is telling. So right from that stage, Rama has started showing us Pitruvakya Paripalana. That is his nature, that he's going to obey his father very clearly. This is another instance where it is even more clear. Now, here there is no instruction to him. So, if he was the type of person that he had to only listen to all elders, then Janaka is also an elder person. So, he should have said, okay, Janaka is telling me to get married, I will get married, right? But he had the desire in his heart that his father should tell, and only then he will follow that. Whether it is for his wish or against his wish, he will go with what his father says. So, this is the way in which we can learn about obedience from Rama's actions. Then, if we look at the actions of Janaka and Dasharatha. Now, before Janaka sent messengers to Ayodhya, he asked permission from Vishwamitra Rishi. Why? Because Vishwamitra Rishi is the elder person there. He is the great Muni who has come there. And Janaka trusted totally in the judgment of Vishwamitra Rishi. Similarly, when Dasharatha got the message saying that your son has broken the bow of Shiva and Janaka Raja has declared that he is going to give his daughter in marriage, Dasharatha didn't decide on his own. He turned to Vasishtacharya and asked for his advice before taking action. Similarly, another aspect. So these are about how Guru Agnya Palan is done. And one totally different angle we can see is what is the attitude of Sita when Rama does not accept the garland. Any other woman in her place would have said, am I not beautiful? Am I not worthy of this person? How can he say that he's not going to accept me? Then does it mean that he's in the control of his parents, right? We know how modern day, today's day, many times this is the attitude that we find in young girls, that they are not ready to listen to anybody else, or they feel that if the person whom they are going to marry is going to listen to his parents, then it's going to be a problem for them. That is the attitude that we unfortunately are noticing more and more in today's times. But what is this attitude that Sita had? She feels happy that this prince is not overcome by desire for me and accepting me just like that. He has the ability to discriminate. He is having this Viveka Shakti, and he is going to be somebody who will follow what his parents are telling. She felt happy to see that. So, that should be the attitude of everybody. If there is someone in our life, somebody in our family, whom we are trying to convince about something, but that person is saying, I will listen to what my parents are telling. As long as, nowadays people always raise all kind of objections. What if the parents are telling wrong things? I don't think it is likely that parents will ever tell wrong things. There may be some question of judgment, but in general, when parents tell something for their children, they have the good intention of that child only in mind, isn't it? So, unfortunately, because we are younger in age, we don't have the vision to be able to appreciate what our elders are telling. But we must understand that it is good to take advice, to take the action as advised by elders, and that is going to be good for us in the long term. So let us pray that by the Lord's grace, we will be able to get these things into our life, that we will learn about Agnya Palan, that we will learn to take the value of elders, the respect, we will be able to respect the decisions taken by our elders and go further on our journey. So we've come to the end of our topic for today. Tomorrow is going to be very, very interesting because we will see what happens. What does Dasharatha decide? How he comes there? How the most famous Sita Kalyanam is taking place? We will see all that tomorrow. For today, let us offer gratitude at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru and Sri Rama for inspiring us to join this satsang. And let their grace and blessings be on us. Even as we are hearing these stories of the events in the life of Rama, let us be inspired to take up those same qualities of his and try in whatever small way possible to adopt those in our life. Mangalam Kosalendraya Mahaniya Gunabdhaye Chakravarti Tanujaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam Veda Vedanta Vedyaya Meghashyamalamurtaye Pumsam Mohana Rupaya Punyashlokaya Mangalam Pitrabhaktaya Satatam Bhratrabhi Sahasitaya Nandita Lokaya Ramabhadraya Mangalam Srimate Raghuviraya सेतुलङ्घितसिन्धवे जितराक्षसराजाय रणधीराय मङ्गलम् मङ्गलाशासनपरैर्मदाचार्यपुरोगमैः सर्वैश्च पूर्वैराचार्यैः सत्कृतायास्तु मङ्गलम्. Thank you, everybody, and we will meet again tomorrow with the next event. Namaskar.